it's okay to change. It's life. You're able to change and adapting to everything. You're learning so much. Like, I went from one area to another and I found my passion, and somehow they click, but it works and I love every minute of it.
Welcome to the Power of PennWest. I'm your host, Dr. John Anderson, president of PennWest University. Whether you're a current student, a proud alum, or just curious about the PennWest community, welcome. Please stay tuned as we explore the stories, achievements, and experiences of the people who bring life to our campuses in California, Clarion, Edinboro, and online. Welcome to the Power of PennWest podcast.
The stroke of midnight, March 20th, marks the beginning of PennWest's third annual Giving Day, a 24-hour campaign to fuel student success. Each PennWest campus has a strong tradition of academic excellence, and your generosity helps ensure that students have access to the resources they need to succeed. Many donors choose to support areas that were the most meaningful to them as students, whether it's an academic department, a student organization, or a professor whose dedication impacted their lives. There are a wide variety of scholarship funds or department funds, such as the Communication Sciences Disorders Department Funds, where the gifts benefit programming to support current and future students to thrive and make a meaningful impact on those that they serve. A gift can help fund scholarships, enhance academic programs, or support world-class faculty. Across PennWest, including the California, Clarion, and Edinboro campuses, and global online, departmental and scholarship funds enhance programming to benefit students. Covering the cost of tuition and other expenses can be a daunting task for students and their families, but scholarships are a game changer. Donations in any amount help current and future students thrive at PennWest. Many donors choose to set the momentum for a remarkable Giving Day by making their gift early. Whether you give now or on March 20th, every gift opens doors for the next generation of leaders. To make your gift, visit the link in the show notes.
Welcome to another episode of the Power of PennWest podcast. Today, we're embarking on a journey of discovery at PennWest. College is more than just attending classes and earning a degree. It's also about discovering who you are and what you're passionate about, and finding a career path that aligns with your personality and strengths. Sometimes this requires a bit of exploration, and today's guests share their experience navigating their journeys. We have three guests at different levels of their careers: a student, a staff member, an alumnus. They are all excited to share their academic story. First, we have Emily Campbell. She's a junior at PennWest Edinboro, majoring in political science with minors in data analytics and Spanish. Passionate about women's health, she interned at the Institute for Women's Health in Washington, D.C., where she conducted research and developed resources to improve women's health outcomes. Her dedication earned her an award from the Pennsylvania Association of Colleges and Employers. Derek Harshberger, a two-time PennWest California graduate, is the Assistant Director of Student Development and Engagement. He switched from studying math, intending to teach, to communications, eventually earning a master's in corporate communications. He's incredibly involved on campus, leading efforts for new student orientation, homecoming, student activities boards, and more. Finally, we have Justin Leader, who started college at the California campus with the goal of becoming a high school history teacher and athletic trainer. But his path took him in the world of biology, where he began studying in the pre-med curriculum. After graduating and earning a master's in exercise science, Leader eventually became CEO of Benefits DNA as a health and welfare benefits advisor and consumer advocate. So we welcome the three of you, Emily, Derek, and Justin. Thank you so much for being on the Power of PennWest podcast today.
Of course, I'm so excited.
I can't wait to hear your stories. Emily, why don't we start with you? Tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up with this unique collection of majors, minors, and areas of interest.
My name is Emily. I'm originally from Greensburg, Pennsylvania, about 45 minutes outside of Pittsburgh. Coming to Edinboro, I originally wanted to go into political science and with the intent of exploring different demographics and maybe working at companies like Politico, some sort of big poll taking, political poll research. But recently I was able to join in to the Institute for Women's Health and do an internship there. And I've really fallen in love with the nonprofit world and what the policy advocacy looks like on that end. So that's originally where my data analysis interest came from, is I thought I wanted to go into taking data and figuring out where people voted and why and all those different demographics and how it led to political participation. And I very much enjoyed the classes that I've taken through that minor. It's given me a lot of different problem solving skills and things that I wouldn't have necessarily been exposed to with just my political science major. And I also came in with a French minor, which got switched over to a Spanish minor because of changes in the program. But I studied French all through high school and I loved it. And I love learning foreign languages. So when that shift happened, I decided I would stick with the foreign language and pick up Spanish instead.
That's a great story. So walk us back to high school, middle school, whenever it was when you decided, oh, I want to learn what people think, how they react, why they vote the way they do, and data has something to do with that. Was there a moment when that light turned on for you?
For a lot of high school, I was interested in going into hospitality and hotel management, and I thought that would be very interesting. And then I had a switch in interest, say around COVID, when I took a break. You know, we were at home, there was a lot going on politically, and that I think kind of sparked my interest in how our world works and in what ways people participate in politics. So that's what sparked my interest in figuring out where people vote and why and what different demographics lead to that.
Thanks, Emily. Derek, we've had a chance to interact quite a bit and work on a number of things together. Share with the audience your story. How did you end up in Cal majoring in what you did?
Of course. So my name is Derek. I am from Duncansville, Pennsylvania. It's about 15 minutes away from Altoona. But growing up, I've always wanted to be with students and help students. It took me a while to figure out what I would want to teach in that area. And like I always wanted to work in a high school, be advisor of the student council, all of that stuff. And it took me a while to like really realize like, do I want to do math? Because I was not good at science. Not the best at science. So I finally realized math is the way I want to go. So I enrolled at PennWest, California, Cali at the time. I enrolled there in 2020, but then COVID hit and we stayed online. But throughout that whole entire journey, I stayed with teaching. I was like, I'm going to do this. We're going to figure it out. We have this whole new way of teaching and everything like that. But as everyone knows, the world kind of changed around us, and that also affected a lot of the students that are in these areas, and especially in high schools during that time. So I still stuck with it, and then around my sophomore year, I said, you know, something doesn't feel right. I got into field, and I said, I enjoy helping the students more, like realize their passion, but this math part is not clicking the best. So I ended up talking with a lot of different people about my exploration, like what I could do on campus. And I was getting heavily involved in clubs and orgs around this time that I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm made for here. So I ended up switching my major to communication studies because it is such a broad area, and especially the way that our program is set up here, I had so many different options to do. I had a little podcast area. It was spilling tea with D. I had so much opportunities to really expand my area of study. And then I also picked up minors in event planning and management. And then my junior year hit and I said, oh, I'm going to graduate early somehow. I don't know how, but I was like, let's add more. So I added marketing and tourism as well. And since then, I literally have kept with it. I ended up still graduating early from PennWest, California. And I realized my academic journey wasn't done. And I was like, I'm coming back for more. I love this campus. I love everything about it. But I said, they're not seeing the last of me. So I enrolled in a corporate communications degree with a certificate in student affairs with the hopes and goals of finally realizing my passion in student affairs at a college campus. And luckily, I'm in it now, and I love it. I love my job every day. It's not like one of those jobs that like you regret waking up to. I love waking up. Sometimes it's hard to wake up because I'm not an early person, but I love waking up and coming in and helping students every day.
Thank you so much, Derek. It is so fun to see staff members all across PennWest. Doesn't matter the discipline specifically. What matters a lot is the fit between their personality, interest, passion, and the job. And there's a lot of research about how that personality job fit works. But it's so fun to see you so vibrant in that role and very interested in doing what you do every day. We got lots of staff that there's a great fit for them with their personality interests and what they do at work. Emily, let's go to you for just a minute and talk a little bit about this experience you had in DC, how you heard about it, what kinds of communications you had with people on campus that led you to having that opportunity.
Originally, I was presented with the opportunity to apply for the Washington Center, which is a group that our political science department has partnered with on all three campuses, I believe. And this is a great opportunity to send students to DC for the summer. I was there for about 10 weeks. They help you with resumes, they help you with interviews, they have companies that they partner with. And actually, through PASHE, since I am a PASHE student and a resident of the Commonwealth, they were able to cover almost the entire cost of the program through the funding from the state, which is a huge help for experiential learning for students like me, students all over the state. So with that financial help and the support from the political science department, I was able to apply, I got accepted, and then from there, they helped me find an internship. So they have groups that they partner with, which I was looking through, and they're solid groups that they have. None of them were really piquing my interest. So I went and I did what they call an out of network internship. So I went on my own, I looked for different groups in DC that were interesting to me, and I knew I wanted to work with women's health. But I wanted to make sure that I worked with a group that aligned with my morals, one that looked at the woman as a whole person and at every part of her life, just holistic healthcare for her entire life. And I found this amazing group, the Institute for Women's Health, that aligned so well with my morals. And I applied, and honestly, I didn't hear back for a while. So I just cold called their office and saw if they got my application. And from there, hours later that day, I got a phone call from who's now my supervisor. And we were able to set up a call and we chatted. And from there, they offered me a position.
That sounds like it was pretty intuitive in that the PennWest part helped you see what opportunities were there. You realize, hey, maybe that's not it. But then you took the initiative to step outside that and find a path of your own. That's fantastic. What was it like that first day, leaving campus, heading to DC, showing up, thinking, I'm here, I'm in Washington, DC, and I have a role to fill?
It was very exciting. It was also a little intimidating. Through the Washington Center, they actually set us up with housing. So housing was part of that package that the state so kindly helped me cover. And we were in apartment style buildings with other students who were interning, which was a huge help. I wasn't down in DC by myself. I wasn't looking for an apartment on my own, trying to figure out what a good place to live was. This program was already set up for me. I had 3 roommates who were right around my age, who were also new to DC. And we settled in, and they set us up with students who had similar interests to mine, which was very helpful. And those girls were great, and we got along super well. The Washington Center also helped with a lot of professional development. So you're all going into internships. For a lot of students, this is their first time working in their career field and seeing what it is that they want to do on the ground level, seeing how politics works in DC. So they helped us from very functional things like wardrobe and appearance and attitude, what proper workplace communication is, to things like developing different relationships with different staff and what that looks like. So it was all very helpful throughout the transition process.
That's great. Thanks, Emily. Derek, talk to us a little bit about your transition from being a student when you receive a lot of information to all of a sudden switching and now you're advising and guiding and helping leading students. What was that transition like for you?
I'm going to be honest, it was easy. I feel like so definitely during my undergrad and grad opportunity, well, during my academic time, I took every opportunity that I could take and I enjoyed everything. I was student government president for 2 years. I was on the PASHE Board of Governors. I did a lot throughout the whole entire state system. So I knew a lot about the things in the state system. I knew a lot about PennWest, and I really believe in the mission and vision of PennWest. And I definitely knew that this was a place that I could see and work. But I also was like, I can't leave now. I want to continue my legacy here. So transitioning, it was super easy to transition. I feel like I'm in the know with everything, and plus I know those club budgets, so I'm helping the students really make sure, because I also helped make the club budgets for this year. So it's so interesting to see all of it come full circle. It's also really unique because in my area, I know a lot of the students already, so we really have that close-knit connection and everything. They feel comfortable coming to me. I feel comfortable going to them with things. So we really are a close-knit group here with everyone, and I feel like I do love bringing energy to the area. So, love doing different things here and things like that. But I feel like it was just such an easy transition over. I didn't really have any problems. I think we're killing it over here. I'm enjoying every part of my job, like I mentioned, and I don't see myself anywhere else but Penn West.
That's great. And I'm sure that you can think back now about experiences you had as an undergraduate that helped prepare you to make that transition smooth.
Of course, yes. So my supervisor, Melissa Dunn, has actually helped me so much throughout my whole entire time, and I owe a lot to her. I look up to her as my mentor, someone I could always go to, and I always called her the California mom because my mom is 2 hours away from me, so I couldn't see my mom all the time because I had to work. I also worked full time in my undergrad and in my undergrad and grad. So Missy was always there for me whenever I needed a quick quick conversation or a quick rant and things like that. So it's been really easy transition. Also knowing the people in our area has been really easy too. Diane Hasbrook has always worked in our area. And then before me, it used to be Carrie Schubert in this role. And Carrie also was like, Derek, go for this position and things like that. So I've always had the support needed from the student engagement and student development area that really just made me feel so comfortable and so welcomed that this transition was probably the easiest thing ever.
Oh, that's fantastic. Great story.
Yeah.
Let's take the two of you for just a minute and put you in the advice seat. We get a lot of students that come to Penn West who know they want a university experience. They know they want a professional career the university experience will prepare them for, but they may not have settled into a major yet. It's interesting that both of you had very different experiences. I'm political science, data analytics, and Spanish, communications, and math, varied backgrounds, which I think prepares you well for the world. I think of some of our nursing students who study the medical side of it so well, and then they walk in to treat a patient or work with a patient, and there are social issues, there are emotional issues, there are family issues, there are all kinds of other issues. And we prepare well for that environment. But I think all of you, as you get out, find that there's a broad array of skills you need that may not be specific to your major. So for those students who are coming in trying to figure out what they want to do, how they want to learn broadly, how they want to be prepared for something, what is your best advice for that student, Emily?
Don't be afraid to explore the areas that are just an interest of yours. When I came in with French, it wasn't because I'd planned on going and, working in some French embassy or going to France and working there. It was just because I loved the language. I loved learning it. I loved speaking it. And that translated over to Spanish and having so much fun picking up this third language. It doesn't always have to tie back to your career directly. You don't have to see exactly how it's going to tie back to your career because, well, first of all, education is good on its own, right? Anything that we learn is beneficial to our minds. But also, these things teach us skills that maybe we wouldn't have thought we needed later on.
That's great. Derek, what would your advice be?
I think I have two things. I think that for starters, everyone, whenever you first, so I also do a lot with new student orientation, and a lot of students always go, why do I have to take this class? Or things like that, or is this class really needed for my major? And the same answer is always for me is yeah. To be honest, yes, because there was one point, I'm going to be completely honest with everyone. I took geology during COVID, and I was like, oh my gosh, wait. I kind of like the rocks. Like I was like, I don't know, maybe this is for me. But then I was like, oh no, I can't, I don't think I can do this. I'm not really understanding the levels of the crust of the earth and things like that. But taking that gen ed really expanded, like I literally got out of my mind for a second and was like, wow, I really don't have to do just teaching. Like there is so much more. So I definitely think that taking your gen eds very seriously and also realizing that like these are here to help you, but also can influence your kind of exploration and things like that. Because I don't think I would have ever added marketing had I not had to take intro to business and things like that. My other one is literally take every opportunity that you have at a university and get involved. Getting involved gave me so much knowledge, so much stuff. Younger me wouldn't probably run around with an air horn during welcome weekend telling everyone to go to bingo at 8 p.m. And younger me also probably wouldn't feel comfortable talking in front of all of the freshman class, but I have now learned all these skills and it's really taking me out of my shell and taking me out of my comfort zone so many times that I'm able to stand in front of everyone now, be this energetic person, and I will still run around with an air horn as a staff member and be like, come to bingo, especially all the time. The welcome weekend's my favorite thing. But yeah, I think get involved and take those gen eds and take your education serious, and it's okay to change. It's life. You're able to change and adapting to everything. You're learning so much. Like I went from one area to another and I found my passion and somehow they click, but it works and I love every minute of it.
That's great. Let's talk for just a minute as we prepare to wrap up. What does the future look like? I've known a lot of people who may have changed their major a few times while they're in university. They settle on something, they go out and work for 3 to 5 years, and then something starts to gnaw at them saying, maybe there's something else out there. At that point, they may return to school, they may change careers, they may pursue something else. Talk to me about your future. Emily, tell us where you think you'll be in 5 or 10 years.
Well, I really do love this nonprofit world of helping women, going into different countries all over the world and seeing what kind of tactical ways we can help women and children and families, and how that has just such an immense impact on the whole community and society. So I would love to keep working in the nonprofit world, and maybe I'll start that soon, but I've also fallen in love with the world of ministry, and we have fantastic focus missionaries on this campus. And I have just been so grateful to grow in relationship with them and to be able to walk with other students in their faith and to be able to see how much of an impact that can have on our campus and just building our community and building that Catholic community on our campus. So for a few years, I may take time to do ministry work and then jump back into the career world of nonprofit.
That's great. Thank you, Emily. Derek, tell us about the next 5 or 10 years for you.
The next 5 or 10 years is this is a thing that I always keep in my mind. I'm so futuristic planning. So the next 5 to 10 years, I definitely am going for my PhD in student affairs and higher education. I want to work my way up and things like that. I used to tell Melissa Dunn all the time on our campus that I will be whenever you retire, I'm taking your job. That's the thing. But it's really a goal of mine. President Anderson, I think you'll enjoy this. My number one goal is to definitely become a president of a university one day. I have so much love for education. I have so much love for having a student realize their true potential and that light bulb clicking off that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I want to help students do that. And I want to create a welcoming environment for everyone. So while I'm only about 8 months into my, or yeah, 9 months now into my job, we still have so much time, and I have so much time to help foster the California campus and expand my knowledge across all three campuses. But I'm super excited to soon start a PhD and get to the work of becoming President Anderson one day.
Hey, it's a pretty good gig. I got to say that.
I see all of the stuff you do, so I think it'd be a great gig for me.
Well, it's just really fun. You get to make a real difference in people's lives and spread a lot of hope and build things for the future. It's a fantastic career choice. And I
Yes.
certainly support you in pursuing that, Derek. Let me know
Thank you.
how.
I'll reach out with a letter of recommendation.
Anytime. Yep. We'll be right back after this message.
At PennWest University, we're making college make sense again for people who maybe thought college wasn't the answer. We're making college practical with programs tied to in-demand jobs that prepare you for success right away. We're making college accessible by breaking down barriers and offering more choices. We're making college approachable with faculty who understand where you're coming from and help you get where you're going. At PennWest, we're making college valuable again for people just like you. Learn more at pennwest.edu.
So next we'll go to Justin Leader, one of our alums from the Cal campus. Justin, tell us about your journey. How did you end up at Cal?
I grew up in a small town, Bedford, Pennsylvania, and I am the first to go to college. At my senior year of high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do and what my next step would be. But a good buddy of mine was taking a trip out to Cal's campus as he was being recruited for football. So he asked if I wanted to tag along, which I did. And that changed the trajectory of my life altogether. You see, as he was being recruited, I kind of hung back on campus and walked around. And then a gentleman, Paul Burns, saw me sitting and said, "Hey, are you here for a tour?" I go, "Well, no, but I'd be happy to go on one. And he took such attention to detail in talking me through the whole college experience and the help and resources available to me. I mean, I was a poor adopted kid. My grandfather who raised me had barely a high school education. His mother, my great grandmother, never made it to high school. So for me, this was a big opportunity. And ultimately, I wanted to be a teacher. And I really was into fitness. So athletic training and a dual major with secondary education seemed to be where I was going. But one of my first classes was an anatomy class with Dr. Hess, who is like crazy qualified from an education perspective. And she blew my mind with science. And I immediately changed my undergraduate to pre-medicine and had an awesome guide through that whole experience, and Dr. Boehm at the university, and ended up graduating with a 3.5 high honors, and absolutely loved the attention that I got in the classes. I loved it so much that I opted not to go to med school and stuck around to be a GA after being a resident assistant for 3 or 4 years at Long and Ecker Hall, and at the time Building C, with the new facilities that were built, and got my master's degree in exercise science with a focus in injury prevention and corporate wellness.
That is quite a journey. It's amazing how one small conversation to someone who just happened to be in a certain place can change the trajectory of a career like that.
You know what? It gave me a firm foundation that for what I will forever be grateful to. And in looking back, I think about the relationships that I developed both as a resident assistant, but through the different communities throughout my experience. And I'm grateful. I mean, to this day, I do business with people that I met at Cal. And my network has helped support me through the trials and tribulations of getting a career started. Now, 20 years later, hindsight's 2020, I realized just how grateful I am for that experience. And I was honored a few years back. I got a 40 under 40 award with the university. And, I have a sense of pride in that.
That's fantastic. Tell us a little about your career now and what's happened over the last 20 years since you left Cal.
Unlike my college transition, I've bebopped around. I've always been kind of the entrepreneur and business development mindset. So I worked for a major pharmaceutical company out of college. I worked for Morgan Stanley, and then I fell in love with another complex industry. I founded a company called Benefits DNA. So for the past 14, going on 15 years, I've spent my career as the president and CEO of this organization with our trademark We Fix Your Healthcare, where I've played a hand in not only fixing a lot of health insurance issues for employers throughout the country, but have even gotten as far as the White House with some of the administration's executive orders over things like hospital transparency, insurance transparency, PBM transparency. So it all goes back to, I think, that first visit where Paul Burns, out of the goodness of his heart, recognized a kid that was just kind of hanging out and took me under his wing. And fast forward to where I'm at now, I'm very grateful and thankful and blessed. My mission isn't over, but anytime I get an opportunity to give back and spend some time with people that help mold me, by all means, I'll take it.
That's a great story, Justin. Thank you. Now tell us where you see yourself in 5 years. What does the future look like for Justin?
That's a great question. And, I'm a firm believer that as long as we have a beating heart, we have to continuously learn and develop ourselves. And for me, as a young father now, too, I get excited thinking about the future of my kids as they get into grade school and beyond. But professionally, I have some pretty big aspirations regarding our business and what we're accomplishing within communities across the United States. I'd like to see that continue. And ultimately, I'd love to make my role obsolete as a health insurance advisor with some of the fixes that we're implementing. On a bigger scale, I think I like my story. I'm working on a book and some public speaking opportunities regarding a motto I learned from my grandfather called "Leaders Never Quit." So I'd love for that to be passed along from those that are being challenged and have some hurdles to overcome, whether it be in the relationships with their business or personal, things that they're fighting. For me, with the go-giver mentality, I'd like to believe that I could change the world. And if that, is on a micro scale, just a few lives with what I'm doing, that's fine by me. That's legacy.
What a fantastic mission to be a part of. So we have a lot of freshmen between 1,500 and 2,000 that start each fall semester. What advice would you give to them? If you were to look back and see yourself in those shoes, what would you say to yourself back as a freshman?
Nothing worthwhile ever comes easy. You're going to come through this experience and you're going to be faced with hurdles and challenges. You're going to have to overcome things, depending on your background, that may seem insurmountable. What I will encourage every single person that's listening and every freshman to do is continue forward. That forward progress, those inches become yards, those yards become touchdowns. You will end up winning at life if you do not give up.
That is very sound advice. Thank you very much.
Hey, listen, Cal U, now PennWest, will always have a place in my heart. We jokingly call it the Harvard on the Mon. The only advice I give is to make sure to listen to your mentors and find some peers within the organization to be able to help guide you along the way.
Thank you so much, Justin. It's been so fun to hear your story today.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, Derek, Emily, and Justin, it's been so fun to have you three on the Power of PennWest podcast today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you.
And to our friends listening in, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Power of PennWest podcast.